Russia seems to be sending more troops to the border with Ukraine. They're going to conduct military exercises. There's talk of false flag operations. There was a little bit of a skirmish, I believe, between separatist forces, Russian separatist forces, and the Ukrainian military. Are we in a different place, Anatol, than we were a couple of weeks ago?
No, I don't think so. And I mean, I used to be a journalist myself. So, as I was told when I very first became a journalist by an older colleague, you don't get headlines by playing down the news and danger. I mean, look, the threat of war is there. The threat of a Russian invasion is there, undoubtedly. But on the other hand, the Russians continue to say that they're not going to invade. And the Russian foreign minister has said that he is going to meet with Tony Blinken again next week to talk about things. And the US side has indicated that on a couple of points there's, room for some flexibility or compromise. So, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Russia is using the threat of war as a way of trying to get concessions from the West. But I still think on balance that for the moment, the point is, to use this as a lever. I don't think that that Russia has actually, or the Russian government has definitely made up its mind to invade. But as I say, I think if they don't get what they would regard as, a reasonable compromise, then I think that danger is still very much there.
Okay, yeah, yes, and let's talk about what that reasonable compromise is. But first, right now, is there any world in which, Russia is trying to sort of bait? I mean, this is what I when you hear even Biden saying something like a false flag operation, does it feel like he's saying there's going to be bait for us to try to take? Is Putin trying to egg either the Ukrainian military or I guess some of the NATO and or American forces into kind of like firing the first shot, so to speak?
Well, NATO's not going to fire the first shot. I mean, they've made that clear again and again. They've even withdrawn their military observers from the Donbass, which, by the way, means that we can't really say what's going on there. We've evacuated our diplomats from Kiev. No, I mean, NATO is not going to go to war, and Russia is not going to attack NATO. I mean, that's completely excluded. But I do think that, before Russia intervened in Ukraine, or before, there was even a more limited operation in eastern Ukraine, that yes, you probably would see Russian attempts to blame this on the Ukrainians, clashes which Russia would be able, at least semi-plausibly, to say had been initiated by the Ukrainian side. But of course, at the same time, this kind of escalation would still be part of the negotiating process. I think it's worth bringing this out, because some of the Western coverage suggests, Russia invades Ukraine, then it's all over, then, complete breakdown of relations.
Four. I said 4 because of somehow 3 feels like it's already been going on. But anyway, yes.
Well, I suppose look, if you like,
yes.
Cold War was World War III, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't actually go to war with the Soviet Union. Of course, they would, in Vietnam, yes, in Korea, in Africa, in Central America. But we didn't go to war with Moscow. And I think this time we're not going to go to war with Moscow. Well, we've made clear we won't. So the point is, even frankly, if there is a war in Ukraine, we're still going to be talking to the Russians. The negotiations will continue on a new basis. I mean, I pray to God there won't be a war in Ukraine and Russia doesn't, invade. But I think, I find a bit of this Western coverage, frankly, as a Westerner, a little bit humiliating, because there's all this blowhard stuff. And yet at the same time, as I say, we've made absolutely clear that we're not going to fight. So, there's a lot of self-flattering, self-regarding, prancing and preening about all this.
Yes. And as someone who's on the left, there's also a lot of, well, of course the US is going to invade because we invade everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, we do invade everywhere and it is always BS. But this does feel different. And the United States also has long swapped our hot wars for our more, drone heavy wars, if you will.
But I mean, at the same time, I mean, I think one thing we need to recognize is that this is God's gift to the US Army.
Mm,
Because after pulling out of Afghanistan, the army was really lacking a role. Nobody is talking about fighting China on land, so all the money is going to the Navy and Air Force. Now, if
yes.
you can, well, not create, but blow up this Russian threat, in a way, it's ideal because that suggests you need lots and lots and lots of tanks, lots and lots and lots of artillery. But of course, at the same time, you're never going to have to use them. So you're not actually going to fight or risk, God forbid, nuclear catastrophe. So what you get out of this is what I have to say I think a lot of the generals are really about, which is bigger budgets.
And actually, hey, funny you say that. This week, Biden announced that he is going to be asking for $770 billion for the next fiscal year for the defense budget. And again, tons of F-35s. This is, by the way, like bigger than what he had asked for last year, bigger than even what Trump had asked for. So you are right on the money, literally, when it comes to what this is all about. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do it.